Once again, greetings and thank you for joining us for this Tuesday webinar, which is organized by the Franchise Talk, which is owned and operated by IndexConferences and Exhibitions. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, wherever you may be. Apologies for the slight technical glitch getting this started. Our webinar topic today is opportunities with B2B service franchises. And I'll be your moderator for the webinar. My name is Troy Franklin. I'm the managing partner of World Franchise Associates. I have two fantastic speakers with us on the webinar, including Mark Mckenzie, the CEO of Jmac, and Mr. Mark Steele, the International Business Unit Managing Director for Palex. As mentioned before, my name is Troy Franklin. I'm the managing partner of World Franchise Associates. I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. Anyone who's watching the presentation can get access to the recording of the presentation or the webinar post the webinar from Index. So you don't have to take notes or try to remember a lot of what's in these presentations, because you'll be given the presentations from the organizer after the webinar. My company, World Franchise Associates, is a global franchise marketing and advisory company that specializes in matching franchises, brands, and investors internationally. We also offer franchise development programs, franchise investor advisory programs, and government and institutional programs. And on the right of the screen, you can see some of our intellectual property, our World Franchise Center, our FranSpeak newsletter. We do World Franchise Forums, and we offer international franchise discovery meetings for brands. So about today's webinar, some of the key takeaways. I'll have a brief overview of the B2b franchises currently operating in the GCC region. We'll talk about considerations for acquiring B2b franchises for a GCC country. And then we'll have two speakers introducing Jmac and Palex, which are material international franchise opportunities with B2b franchises for the U.A.E. market and also for the other GCC countries. So just to talk about some of the most common types of B2B franchises. Lots of B2B franchises operating internationally. The most common categories in this sector are maintenance and cleaning services, coaching and leadership skills, training and education, and also business services. These aren't the only categories, but there are more players in these categories than many others. If you talk about the GCC region, B2B franchising, it's a sector that when we did research for this webinar, we found was dramatically underdeveloped in terms of number of franchises operating across the region in this sector. We found that the category as of now is not that well organized and is made up of many small mom and pop local players. And a lot of international companies in the B2B sector who are operating in the GCC are doing so via direct investments or joint ventures. So lots of B2B players in the region, but not lots of B2B franchises or master franchises in the region, which leads us to believe that there's a significant opportunity for this sector moving forward. Just some examples of B2B franchises that are already operating and active, and also continuing to look for franchisees across parts of the GCC. So there's Kim Dry, which is a carpet cleaning concept. Renew, which is a hotel maintenance and cleaning specialist, both US companies. And then in Dubai, you have Reliance Facilities Maintenance, which is a commercial cleaning company that specializes in cleaning office buildings in the U.A.E. and in other GCC countries. Then we have some other examples of B2B franchises, which are also our clients. Fast Signs, which is a business service that provides signs and other related business materials. Their theme is more than fast, more than signs. Units is a moving and portable storage, self-serve moving and portable storage business. Both Fast Signs and Units are out of the United States. And then we have Mailbox, etc., which is a B2B service focusing on shipping and office needs, printing, and other material development for companies. Another example is they are a pickup point for returns for mail order, and that's another service that they have thrived on, particularly during the pandemic. Just a few more players in the B2B franchise category. Our research, we found a brand called Spider Style, which is a franchise that uses pulleys and ropes to help people get access to hard to get places in tall buildings in the Middle East and the U.A.E. and other countries. You've got Action Coach, which is a business coaching brand out of the U.S., probably the largest in the category. And there's Astico, which is a Middle East-based, U.A.E.-based service company, business service company. On to our featured franchises. The first featured franchise you'll be hearing about is Jmac. Jmac is a leading equipment hygiene services company out of Australia. You're going to hear from Mr. Mark Mckenzie, the Jmac CEO, who I'll introduce in just a few moments. I won't spend too much time talking about Jmac here because you're going to get a full introduction to the Jmac brand from Mark. And then we have Pallex, which is a palletized freight distribution network, a UK-based company, which is growing a very unique and needed, industry-needed palletized freight distribution network. And again, I won't spend too much time on Pallex because you'll get to hear directly from Mr. Mark Steele, who is the international managing director, international business managing director for Pallex. So just a little bit about the brands that we represent. All of the brands that we represent are on the World Franchise Center. You can go to the World Franchise Center using www.worldfranchisecenter.com. You'd find a profile for Jmac and a profile for Pallex there, and for many other brands. You can actually create inquiries and submit inquiries about Jmac and Pallex or any other brands through our portal, and they'll come directly to me or one of my colleagues. And if you want to get in touch with me, this is my email address. There's our websites. Be happy to hear from you regarding B2B service brands or any other topics that are of interest to you relating to franchising in the GCC, the U.A.E. or the broader GCC or Middle East, North Africa region. So thank you very much for your time. And we'll move on to the first presenter. And speaking of the first presenter, let me introduce Mr. Mark Mckenzie. Mark is the CEO of Jmac. He founded Jmac when and the business commenced operations in Australia in 1998. He's created a revolutionary way in which to refrigerate food and beverage cleaning systems, and how they're implemented professionally across Australia. And he's written all of the SOPs and training programs for the company, which is ISO 9001 and ISO 2200 certified. In 2011, Jmac won the Food Safety Management Systems Business Excellence Award in Australia. And in 2020, they were the finalists for Australia Small Business Champions Award and the best small business in the last decade. So that's the introduction to Mark. I'll now turn it over to Mark and let him introduce his great brand to you over the next 15 or 20 minutes. Over to you, Mark.
Thanks a lot, Troy. Really appreciate that introduction. And hello, everyone. I'll just share my screen and go through a bit of an introduction. Okay, so just a little bit about Jmac. Troy gave a really good introduction and gave I suppose a lot about what we do and what we're about. We've been operating since 1998. I've just brought up our vision statement at the moment, just to let everyone see where we are and what we're really about. We believe that we're really working towards clean air, clean water, and quality food safety standards. So we've been operating under an ISO 9001 and ISO 22000 system since 2006, and have been operating Jmac since 1998. So just from an introduction point of view, we are, at simple terms, a business-to-business commercial cleaning operation. So we look after infection control. So you can imagine through the COVID pandemic, our business, it's probably been the busiest we've been since 2006 when we first were certified. And it's just, it hasn't stopped. It's probably put hygiene on the map, and dealing with infection control, heating, ventilation, air conditioning and refrigeration, cleaning, and food safety management. They're the specialist fields that we work in. We're process driven, and we look at measurable outcomes for our hygiene. All our work, as Troy said, complies with ISO 22000, ISO 9001, which covers a risk management system based on the principles of HACCP. And most people in the food industry would understand the HACCP, the Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point System. So why are we so special? The reason we've become so well known in Australia and New Zealand is through our ISO certification. We're the only company in the region that is ISO 9001 and ISO 22000 certified when it comes to cleaning. So it means we can provide our customers with documented post-service reporting, certificates of assurance. All our guys are trained. We make sure our brand is well recognised in the areas of health and education and government. And it gives us an opportunity to work with those industries where other cleaning businesses can't. So I'll just do a little bit of an introduction to our main area that we work in, which is food storage. So operating in a cool room treatment environment, we go in and remove all the mold and bacteria, any types of infection, listeria, salmonella, those type of areas that we're managing for our client, cleaning the walls, fans, the FDC, which is the forced draft cooling unit, and we have a complete cleaning process that we put in place with specialised products and mold inhibiting sanitizers that we use. We also conduct post-service reporting clearance. So we use ATP monitoring to provide our customers with clearance, not only a visual clearance, but a microscopic clearance. So there's a couple of images of before and afters that we go into, and these are typical food storage areas that we see on a day-to-day basis. The image that you can see where it looks like half of it's covered and the other half is clear, that's of a coil of the back of a unit, and you can imagine the air velocity that's going through that coil is greatly reduced with so much dust and dirt build up. So it's an energy saving process that we use as well when we go and talk to our clients about what we can do for them. So that comes to the next slide, and we've actually done independent testing. We've used companies in Australia or a TAFE in Australia who have provided a whole range of testing for us to show the types of savings that we can achieve. We also have done mold and bacteria control testing. So again, I think that was back in 2012, used a company called Bernard Heath and Associates who showed how our process was able to achieve a 10-fold reduction in mold growth. The other area that's really important is temperature control. As you can see in the graph there, prior to the red dot, which is when our treatment came in, and the small spikes that you can see is just when doors are being opened and closed. So there is those small spikes, but you can see how consistent the temperature is once we provide our service. So it's not only about mold and bacteria and infection, but it's also about energy savings and temperature control. So a lot of added benefits to the service we provide. We also provide a whole range of other services as well. When we're dealing in the kitchen environment, for example, dealing with a lot of the split systems as well, air handling units in the large industrial areas, and full kitchen cleans, as I said earlier, disinfecting, fogging, and full refrigeration cleans and infection control cleans through COVID. One thing about the COVID-19 pandemic, it's certainly challenged the cleaning industry and altered the public's expectations of clean or of cleaning processes. It's especially important in areas such as manufacturing and processing, supermarkets, restaurants, hotels, hospitals, and the aged care environment. There's some really key areas and key industries that we're working in, and it's put us on the map for sure when it comes to our cleaning processes, because we have got all the certification and all the experience to back it up. To some of our clients, you can see on the top rung is just some of the health departments, so the government departments, a lot of the major hotels, and also some key food brands as well. Troy mentioned some certification or some certificates and awards that we've had. So back in 2011, we were a winner of the Food Safety Management Service to the Food Industry Award. We were the Australian Food Small Business Champions Awards. We were finalists, and we also were finalists for the best in the last 10 years, or the decade, the small business of the decade. We've also featured in some magazines such as Tycoon magazine, which I think is going to be out next month. And it was really an honour to be able to be on the front cover of that magazine for Best Franchise to open in 2022. In regards to our franchise system, we mainly started franchising our business model because it gave us the opportunity to provide a structured and systemised process to recruit other like-minded entrepreneurs to expand our brand throughout Australia and New Zealand. And it also gives us the opportunity to expand that brand now throughout the world without losing the control over the necessary mechanisms to maintain our certification and maintain the processes. It's been critical as the franchise framework aligns really nicely with our ISO and also many of the compliance obligations that we have to run. We also have developed a lot of business management software. So this software in particular, we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time over the last 10 years to put these systems in place. So we have a fully integrated software system, which is the backbone to the whole business, and all our licensed partners have this, and all our franchisees have this system that, and it's also can be set up in other countries as well quite easily, which we've done in New Zealand already. We have a training system, so a fully developed training system, which also runs our compliance as well. And we also have developed our own service app. So this gives all our techs the opportunity to go on site, complete all their work, and have it signed off by the customer, so it can present a really well-developed post-service report to the client once the job's finished. We have recruited a number of new franchisees in Australia over the past 12 months, and we've also started master franchise talks, and that's why we've engaged with Troy and World Franchise Associates to start moving into the Asian and Middle East market. Our franchisees have the capacity at the moment to grow really quickly. We've had one recently, he's been with us for 12 months, and his business has grown over 400%. And we've got another franchise that took over the Sydney market, and he, in the past 18 months, he's grown over 55%. So there's some significant growth that our franchisees are experiencing through this COVID period, and we don't see that backing down in any time soon. If anything, it's probably going to get even more, it's going to be busier for our group. So thank you very much. Really appreciate the time and the opportunity to speak to you all. And I'm sure if there's any questions at the end after Mark's finished his presentation, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for that interesting introduction to Jmac. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Mark Steele. As mentioned earlier, Mark is the International Business Unit Manager, Managing Director for the Palex Group. A little bit about Mark. Mark has worked in the UK logistics sector with the Palex organization for more than 10 years. Initially, Mark was managing the UK business's commercial activity and has had varying roles with the organization. In his current position, Mark is responsible for all of the Palex Group's international activity. This includes existing licensee relationships, identifying new licensees, and management of shareholding licensees with the Benelux, Ireland, Czech Republic, and Poland. Mark's responsible for all the external activity for the international business, including relationship management with associates, service providers, marketeers, and franchise groups. So on that note, Mark, I'll hand it over to you and let you start your introduction to Palex. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Troy. Appreciate the kind introduction. Nothing really more to add to that introduction. So yeah, thanks again. Thanks also, Mark Mckenzie. Enjoyed your presentation, mate. So thanks for everybody that's watching. I hope you enjoy the presentation. So what I'll go through today is a bit of a history lesson about where Palex has got to, especially in a European and global scale, where we had key timelines and key differentiators within our history. An explanation about the way that the actual business works, so the hub and spoke model, what the opportunity looks like, the benefits of joining our network, and then the global vision. Okay, so similarly to Jmac, you know, we're just over 25 years old. We were established in 1996. And what the model does, it allows quick and cost-effective distribution of small consignments, which is palletized. Okay, so in many emerging markets, it's not normal for freight to be palletized, but that's absolutely key to what we do. Again, the competition in most countries or territories is fierce when you're talking full load work or groupage work. So we have a sweet spot in the model, which is in between 1 and 4 pallet consignments. And what it does, the beauty of the system is it unites local small and medium enterprises under the brand, which allows them to compete with the local and international big players. And again, it's a proven business concept. We are established in all across Europe, and we're pushing intercontinentally, and we're already winning quite a lot of big business. What it also does, it carries this one strong and vibrant brand through these small and medium enterprises, and what that allows us to do is search for a master license in a country to carry our brand. Okay, so in 2006 we celebrated a 10-year anniversary, and in 2009 we launched our first network outside of UK, which is in Italy. Italy is actually our biggest market that we have licensed at present, and they're one of the biggest networks in the whole of Europe, regularly doing around about 20,000 pallets a night. And these guys started doing 50 pallets a night, so that's the kind of growth that we're looking at. We were then followed with Iberia, Romania, France, and then we started to link these together in 2014 through what we call our Connect service. Similarly to Jmac, you know, we started to pick up awards and recognition through the transport sector, particularly in the UK and Europe. In the UK, we won our version of the Oscars, which is motor transport. So we won Team of the Year in 2015. In 2018, we won the Motor Transport Award for Customer Care. And for those of you who are aware of global parcel and freight businesses, we took that title from a business called DPD, who are very much a big player. So that tells you about the quality that we're talking about. Another significant milestone was back in 2018 when we launched our MyNexus customer portal. The following year, MyNexus actually won a Global Freight Award again. So hopefully that's given you some idea of the quality of our IT platform. 2019, again, that was the biggest single change in Palex's history. Back in 2019, the management team and the UK members acquired 100% of the shares in Palex from a lady called Hilary Devey. So anybody that used to watch Dragon's Den will know Hilary Devey. She was a star on the BBC, and part of her fame came from the innovation of starting Palex. Unfortunately, Hilary passed away earlier on this year. So yeah, rest in peace, Hilary. Following year, we also had the opportunity to acquire another pallet network, which we did. Geodis, who are again a big global, they were pulling out of the UK market post-Brexit, and we managed to pick up that network. So just a brief history lesson there with how we've grown with acquisitions and new networks. And also in 2020, one of the key items that our licensees benefit from is our IT platform. Our IT platform is without doubt industry leading. It's definitely the best in the sector. The IT platform is also translated to local language. We also include local currency. So it's absolutely a global system which talks to each other's territories' systems. Very powerful. The investment into Nexus is well into 7 figures in GBP in the UK. And again, hopefully I'm getting across the quality of the opportunity that we have here. Okay, so what do we look like today? Palex has 7 master licensee networks, only in mainland Europe, but that covers 12 countries. We are not the biggest network in the UK. However, we are the highest quality network in the UK. But across Europe, we are the biggest multi-user network, and we regularly exceed 45,000 pallets every single night across these 12 countries. In addition to that, what we have, and one of the responsibilities of the master licensee, is to recruit the sub-licensees, which we call members. We have at the minute over 700 members across Europe, giving you an idea of the scale of the operation. Again, our reputation across Europe is excellent, particularly in the countries where we've been established for a long time. So Italy, Romania, France, Iberia, UK. We have a great reputation in these countries because of this entrepreneurial excellence that we strive for. Our processes and our know-how has all improved. We have decades of experience now, and we have facilitated the development of Palex in many countries, and we will be doing the same across the globe over the next coming years. Okay, so the model, what the model does, and I touched on it in the initial briefing, but the model is a hub and spoke model where the regionally based members, they act as the spokes, and the master licensee operates a centrally located transshipment hub. And this can be a warehouse or a similar facility in the logistics sector. And what it does, it unites independent small companies to work collaboratively as a network. And what this does is introduce massive efficiencies for sub-licensees, the members, and in particular, their customers. Their customers will see the levels of visibility of palletized freight that you could only dream of, and is only equaled in parcel freight at the minute. And one of the keys to it is these small businesses, these small, medium enterprise transport businesses, once recruited, they can genuinely compete with the domestic and global big players such as DHLs, TNTs, FedExes. These very, very small family businesses are global players overnight. So it's a very, very powerful model. So how the model works is, depending on the size of the territory, we can operate either a single hub or a multi-hub option. In the UK and in most territories, we start with one hub, but in a country like Italy, which is long and thin, we operate 9 hubs. So it's very, very different, and we will always work with you to design the optimal solution in your particular territory. In the GCC, for example, we've already identified that we can't just start with one country. This would have to be a multi-hub model across maybe 5 countries in the GCC. So we've already done quite a lot of homework on what the GCC solution would look like. Okay, so in a bigger country, as you'll see, with the hub would be, you would have 2 hubs. So on the video or on the image, the moving image, you'll see we now have 2 hubs with depots feeding into the hubs. And what we do in places like Italy and the UK, we then link those hubs up so that the members only travel to their local hub. And this is where it gets even more exciting, which we've done particularly in Europe. Once we have the hub and spokes in place and the domestic models working, we then link these hubs up internationally, giving your customers and your members the levels of visibility internationally that they would expect normally only on a domestic model. So people across Europe, businesses such as DSV and some of the really big players, they don't have this levels of visibility to the end client and also the B2C customer. Again, it's very, very powerful IT system. Okay, so what we're looking for, in a nutshell, we are looking for companies all over the globe to join Palex to become a master license holder in their territory. So typically we look for quality operators, so logistics people or people with access to some kind of infrastructure, but we are recruiting now on a global scale. So what do we look for? The number one thing, the people that we're engaging must be financially sound and they must be reputable. What, unlike a single start franchise, we only get one opportunity to start in any territory. So we have to ensure that we choose the right partner who are really reputable. Our favoured target for a master licensee is a medium-sized logistics provider. So what the brand allows them to do is run at the side of existing business that they may have as an additional revenue stream. We're in advanced talks in the minute with a few businesses in Australia, so Mark's homeland. And what they are proposing to do is work under our brand, because some of the distributors that they're using in the country won't trust them to deliver their freight, whereas under the neutral brand of Palex, it will allow them to get their distributors to put their customers' freight through the Palex system. And that's just an example of how it would work in a country that already has an established road network infrastructure. But yeah, typically we don't need transport companies. We need people that have access to a logistics facility, and that's it. What they do need, though, is they need to be a real visionary entrepreneur. And the reason for this is you have to believe in the Palex model and you have to believe that it fits your territory. You also need to be a really strong networker. And where I mean strong networker, once you've established or you've agreed a deal with us to take the master license in your territory, you will then need to recruit the sub-licensee members. So the stronger your networking in road transport is, the more chance you've got of early success. And you need to be operationally capable with access to some infrastructure. So a strategically located hub or hubs, dependent on the size of the country. And what we say initially is something around about 3,000 square meters. You'll need one forklift driver per 200 pallets, a night manager with some leadership and operational skills. You will also need to recruit English-speaking IT employees. And the reason for that is all of our IT is built and operated and hosted on site in the UK with our IT team. So your guys will need to converse in English with the UK-based team. You'll also need 1 to 2 operational support or customer service administrators, and that's early doors to make sure that the members are doing as they're told. So it's more of a compliance role. Absolutely key to the success of the network is the employment of a network team capable of recruiting strong sub-licensees. So if you're a good networker yourself as the head person, that's absolutely fine. If you haven't, but you can employ guys that are in road transport, that know the industry and know the players that would be interested, that is equally as effective. Okay, so you decide that Palex is for you. What are you actually buying from Palex? So you are buying the Palex brand, the powerful pan-European brand with the marketing support that goes with that. Anybody that's seen our marketing, particularly Palex.com and the digital media that we put out there, it's really quite powerful, and you will benefit from that from day one. You will also get the industry-leading Nexus IT system. You will get the support team and the expertise to start your business in this territory. And you'll also be exposed to all of our products and our processes. So you can run your operation in an emerging market as slick as somewhere like Italy or the United Kingdom. What we also offer, and not many other opportunities do offer this, we offer you access to the key stakeholders. So if at any point in the journey you have an inquiry or you wish to have a visit from somebody like myself or the CEO or one of the directors within my team, we will allow you that access. So it's very much a family feel. We always state to any new master licensees, once you commit to Palex, you're part of one big family, and hopefully again that comes across from this presentation. Okay, so what some of the benefits of joining Palex? So by joining us, you will expand the portfolio of your services. So if you're already a road transport business or a potential road transport business or a warehouse business, you can expand the portfolio of your services. So that will basically give you an additional revenue stream for an existing business or new co. You'll be joining a business model with a great return on investment. You know, typically our licensees operate something like 80% gross profit in the hub transshipment model. So again, a very, very high number. It will make your business grow. So by bolting on the additional revenue stream, it's an opportunity to get more warehouse customers or other customers in the road haulage sector. You will also benefit from the additional inbound volumes from existing Palex licensees. So where we have a territory that exports freight into your territory, you will be guaranteed that freight because that then runs through the model. So you will benefit pretty much from day one of an inbound influx of freight from Europe, the pan-European network. And you'll also get first-class licensee support. So the team in the UK will work with you. We will travel and spend time with you, holding your hand to make sure that the onboarding is absolutely first rate. And the global vision is quite simple. What we want to be is the leading global palletized freight distribution network that joins together collaboratively these small and medium enterprises, so that one small family business in one very, very small sector of any country in the world can compete with DHL, TNT, FedEx, and the global big players. And that's it from me. I think Troy will do another few minutes presentation, and then there's an opportunity for questions. So thanks very much, everybody, for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, back over to Troy.
Great, Mark. Thank you very much for that very informative introduction to Pollux and your international licensing model. So at this point, we'll jump straight into the questions, which have been many of which have been typed into my chat box, and I'm going to read out the questions, and then I'll direct them to one of the gentlemen with me on this webinar, or if necessary, I'll answer the question myself. Mark Mckenzie, the first question is for you. If you guys want to switch on your cameras and videos, Mark Mckenzie and Mark Steele, thank you. The first question, Mark, is for you. It's what makes an ideal Jmac franchisee, and what characteristics are you looking for in a candidate?
Yeah, really good question. Thank you for that, Troy, and the question that's been asked. So we have some key attributes that I suppose make up, after 24 years of being in business, and we've been franchising since 2006, I think it was, when we were certified. So we've been franchising for 15, 16 years. So we look for people that have got a passion for life and also for people. So customer service is really paramount. Willingness to try new things. The entrepreneurship is obviously important, like Mark Steele spoke about. We're the same. I think in any franchise model, you're looking for that element of entrepreneurship. Being positive and optimistic, a team player, treating adversity as a challenge, being service and quality orientated, and a willingness to comply with systems and procedures. So our business is really about our systems and procedures. So, and that kind of the franchise model, as I said earlier, and the ISO system kind of go hand in glove. So they would be the key attributes that we're looking at for franchise owners. Obviously, being financially sound as well is important, because there is obviously investment in any growth model for a franchise in a license to any country.
Follow-up question. Yeah, I remember somebody telling me many, many years ago when I first got into franchising that McDonald's didn't want franchisees that had other franchises before, and they didn't want to hire employees that had other burger experience, because they wanted people that didn't have any bad habits. Is somebody with a cleaning and maintenance background, is that relevant to them, or would they be an ideal candidate because of their network and their experience?
Yeah, look, it's interesting, because the recruitment of franchisees that we've had throughout Australia and New Zealand have come from a whole range of different backgrounds. We've got some dairy farmers that have been amazing people, others that have worked for marketing companies and multinationals, others that have been electricians. So and we've had some cleaners that have joined us as well. So the background is probably not so critical. It's about the type of person they are and the vision that they're prepared to. Like, we work really, really hard with them on presenting our vision, presenting our growth strategy with any potential franchisee or licensee, so that they are going on the journey with us. And as I said earlier, the systems and the procedures and compliance is becoming more and more important. So having an understanding and being a little bit educated in that area is really important. And a lot of cleaners, I think, are starting to understand. We've had people from the health sector come and join us, and they've got a very clear understanding of certain procedures and certain structures. And we work in that, certainly in that field.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Here's one for you, Mr. Steele. In your presentation, there were 5 bullet points in terms of the type of candidate you're looking for. This is a similar question to the question I just asked Mr. Mckenzie, except a slightly different skew to it. what if the person doesn't have the group, or the person doesn't have the logistics experience? They're missing that, but they've got the entrepreneurial spirit, the finances, they've got the facility of, space. Would you consider somebody that met 4 of those criteria but didn't have the logistics experience?
Yeah, again, it's a great question, and to answer it, yes, we do consider people that don't fit every single one of the 5 criteria. And a great example of that is our partner in Iberia. The partner in Iberia is a brewer, quite a famous brewer in Europe called Estrella Damm, the Damm Group. And what they decided to take the Palex master license because they were delivering lots and lots of small consignments to bars and restaurants within Iberia, and at great cost. So if they're operating their own fleet, it was quite expensive for them to do that. So what they did was took the master license, they got a modest facility in the center of the country, recruited the members, and now the members are delivering the beer, wine and beverages into their bars and restaurants, and they're being paid by their members to do it. So it's a really clever way of exploiting the, I suppose, the way that the network's constructed. So they were really clever, didn't have any logistics experience, but like you say, really entrepreneurial and a big reputable company. That said, some of our other licensees are not big businesses and they don't have access to the infrastructure. But in the case of, say, Poland, for example, where I am today, we don't have the infrastructure in Poland, but we actually subcontract the palletized movement, the transshipment out to another local business. So the model works and we operate the network and look after the network, but the hub operation is subcontracted out. So to answer your question, yes, we would, and we would impart the knowledge on a potential investor if they were entrepreneurial enough so that we could make it work within a variety of scenarios.
Excellent, thank you. The next question is, and I think I'll answer this one because I covered it in my initial presentation. The question is, do you see any untapped opportunities for B2b franchises in the Middle East and North Africa region? The answer to that is absolutely yes. I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar that the B2B sector was probably one of the most underdeveloped sectors in the region, and that a lot of the businesses in the sector weren't franchises and were very mom and pop or small time operators. And this is a trend that we've seen in Asia and other regions, Eastern Europe, where the B2B franchises and service franchises started to take hold many years after the traditional entrance of fast food restaurants and F&B and other food franchises. And so we see the Middle East, North Africa region as a region where the B2B franchise opportunities are going to grow by leaps and bounds over the next 3 to 5 years. And we strongly believe that both Jmac and Palex are very unique B2B franchise businesses, which effectively wouldn't have a lot of direct competition in the region, which makes them very interesting and potentially lucrative franchise opportunities in the region. So, gentlemen, I'll read out this next question, and I think I'll let both of you answer it because it may be different for your different businesses, different types of businesses. The question is, I think it's relating to infrastructure and setting up your franchise or license in the region. What type of partnerships will you establish with vendors and other service providers to strengthen or support the offering in the region? Let's start with you, Mark. Mckenzie.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you mean some of the existing customer base that we've already established in Australia, like your Hyatts and the Hiltons and some of the international brands, McDonald's and the like. So yeah, there's we have got strong relationships already after 24 years servicing these clients. And what we've also found whenever we've sold a new franchise, say going into New Zealand, it was a very easy process because we're already dealing with a lot of government departments. We're already dealing with a lot of hospitals, nursing homes, key international brands, like I was saying before, the McDonald's and Subway, and those brands we've already got a very strong relationship in Australia. So being able to assist the licensees take or gain customers quickly has been quite it has been great for our brand because of all the work we've done over the past 20 odd years. So yeah, that's not a problem at all, and that's part of our process. So we the quicker our licensees can grow, the better it is, and we're there fully supporting them. Once they get on board with Jmac, a little bit like Mark Steele was saying, we're a big family. We treat our partners, we treat our franchisees as a family. And if you've got the Jmac brand, then you'll be fully supported, and we want you to be successful. So we will make sure you are.
Excellent. Just to follow on, in terms of maybe hand-holding is not the best reference, but I'm going to use it anyway. In terms of from the time someone signs a license agreement with you for the exclusive development for a country like U.A.E. until the time they sign their first contract with the first customer, you obviously walk them through the entire setup and who they need to reach out to in the market to support them with their needs in terms of supplies and so on. So that's part of your pre-operating market entry strategy, right?
Correct. Yeah. So there would be some time that would need to be spent in Australia because obviously we have our market here. And if there was an operational manager that was going to be working with the brand in another country, they would spend time like we did in New Zealand. We had the two licensees in New Zealand that came and spent 4 weeks with us in Australia, and they spent time at different franchisees' businesses around Australia. We also, part of our system, because we're ISO certified, we would need to ensure that the brand is certified in that country. We don't have an international license for ISO. It has to be done per country. So part of the process is that every year, whether it's myself or whether it's a business development manager, someone from the Jmac head office or the main team would spend time in every country. And we do, I go to New Zealand twice a year, but we would spend a minimum of once a year where we would need to audit that particular license so that they could be reaccredited to the ISO standards. So that's part of that hand-holding, I suppose you would say, Troy, to make sure that they're always going to be very close because we have an important relationship with our ISO branding. If we don't have it, we don't have our business.
Understood. Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And Mark Steele, you want to talk about how this is relevant to Palex in terms of these vendor and professional service relationships?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit different with the Palex network because obviously, Mark's talking about a single unit franchise, whereas ours is a multi-unit franchise, which the master licensee is responsible for building the network of sub-licensees. So it is different. However, key to our model is that recruitment of sub-licensees. So when we are marketing a particular territory, what we do is we will expose many targets in that particular country. However, not all of them, or there will be very few of them who are suitable or take up the actual master license. But what we will do is share and try and recruit these businesses that we've got as potential masters to become the subs. So we will help the master licensee recruit the network. And then where there are similarities between our model and the Jmac model is we have many international customers that we will introduce them to once that domestic model is signed. So, in the UK, for example, one of our biggest customers is Staples. So Staples will then be introduced to them in that local territory. And also there may be businesses in a country, say like Romania, who have shared their biggest customer with everybody else in the network. So again, that networking and the family business approach where we share all of our international leads, that becomes part of the new operation in that new territory. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a feel for what we'll do. Plus, we also market the opportunity hard in that country, explaining the model and targeting the sub-licensees and then the members, and their customers. So yeah, there's multi-level marketing and the networking that we'll introduce into the business. Excellent.
We're coming up on the stop time for the webinar. We've really done a good job of staying on schedule, which is great and is not always the case. Maybe just Mark Mckenzie, any last words from you on Jmac and the opportunity in the GCC and Middle East, North Africa region?
Yeah, I suppose I'm probably harped on this subject, but I know COVID's been a terrible pandemic that around the world we've experienced, and certainly not wanting to kind of promote pandemics, but it was kind of something that I'm in a number of organisations where we're dealing with a lot of high-level infection control and medical device and other medical areas, and we all predicted this was going to happen. It was something that was, I think, for our little group of about 20 or 25 of us, we felt it was inevitable. What it's meant, though, is it's actually driven hygiene really strongly around the world, and probably made people aware that cleaners and nursing staff and people that are kind of behind the scenes are actually valuable with the way that we operate. And Jmac, again, we're an unknown brand. You know, we're not well known around the world, but since all of this has happened, certainly in the last 3 years, our brand has been highly recognised. Not so much around the world, and this is why we're doing these forums and why we're moving forward to expand our brand around the world, because there's such an amazing opportunity. And I feel that we're in our infancy where we are at the moment. Even though we've been operating 24 years, we've been very comfortable in Australia and New Zealand, and this is, I suppose, time to be comfortably uncomfortable, to expand our brand. And we've worked really hard to make sure we've got our systems and our IT, as Mark Steele explained. You know, investing in IT for any international expansion program is really important. We're really confident that any international or master licensee will be incredibly successful with our brand and with our systems. So really exciting. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present too.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Steele, final words from you?
Yeah, well, similarly to Mark Mckenzie, it's not so much as a pandemic opportunity, but obviously it looks like many countries are around Europe, especially with the conflict in Ukraine, are feeling the squeeze. The economies are really tight. And what Palex has seen over the past 2 or 3 recessions is the business is recession proof, because customers start looking for more effective and cost-effective ways to move freight. And typically our pricing is unbelievably competitive because of the way we construct how we pay the members and the members pay each other. So the margins with the customers are fairly high because they're moving freight for each other at cost. So it is recession proof. Anybody that is maybe got a dedicated solution, which is quite expensive at the minute, may not be able to afford that as they go through the recession. So then that sweet spot of 1 to 4 pallets going through a collaborative multi-user network is really, really appealing. So, again, looking at, nobody likes an opportunist, but, unfortunately the business model, is recession proof and will work through a recession. So yeah, it is very lucrative once you put the investment in, plus year 0, year 1. These businesses go from a couple of 100 pallets, a handful of pallets, where you are charging your members a modest hub fee, to 5,000 and up to 20,000 pallets a night. So you haven't got to be a genius to realise if you're charging $5 US as a hub fee and you're moving 20,000 pallets a night, this is a serious opportunity. So really, thanks everybody for listening. If you do want to learn more, then get in touch with yourself, Troy. And yeah, thanks very much for listening, everyone. Cheers.
Excellent. So Mark Mckenzie from Jmac and Mark Steele from Pollex, thank you both for your very insightful presentations and for answering the questions. For the webinar participants, there were some questions that we didn't get to due to time constraints. This is being recorded. You'll have access to our email addresses and contact information. And if you'd like to raise your questions with me and have them answered about Jmac or Pollex or about B2b franchises in general, you're welcome to contact us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Some final business. I want to thank the team at Index Holding and the Franchise Talk for having us on this Tuesday webinar today. It's always a pleasure to work with Index and the Franchise Talk team. Just to let you know, there's another webinar on next month, 13th September. And the topic of that webinar is how to sell franchises in emerging markets. And you'll have a different moderator and a different set of speakers for that. So I encourage you to join that webinar if you have an interest in franchising in general and in emerging markets and opportunities in those types of markets. So once again, thank everyone for joining us. Wishing you a great day or afternoon or evening wherever you are. And we very much appreciate your time. Take care. Thank you, gentlemen, again.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers, Troy.